great.
Yes, we can see and hear you both. Thank you. So,
Okay, good.
good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and welcome our directors and recognize the following attendees. We have Amy Conchala, who's representing the Research Foundation this morning, and Robert Gear, representing the SUNY Poly Foundation. We also have participating by video conference Mike Frame and Joan McDonald. At this point in the meeting, I would ask that if any of the directors has any potential conflict of interest with respect to an item on today's agenda, to please let us know at this point, and then to recuse yourself from any discussion or vote with regard to that item when we come to it on the agenda. Hearing no potential conflicts, we will move to the minutes from the May 14th, 2019 meeting. Is there a motion for approval?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any corrections or additions to the minutes? All right. Hearing none. All in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Great, thank you. The minutes of the May 14th meeting are approved. Now to the Finance Committee report. We have a lease item with OE Land Inc. To consider this morning. Is there a motion for consideration?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike.
Second.
So, by way of background, OE Land Inc. is a Canadian company that specializes in designing, manufacturing, and marketing of innovative products for fiber optics, photonics, sensors, instrumentation, medical, biological, and other industry applications. This company seeks to lease 120 square feet of space in CSTEM for a one-year lease term. The tenant will pay $30 per square foot plus parking fees. The lease rate includes utilities and operating expenses. As the proposed lease represents a very small fraction of the total building, an appraisal of the fair market value of the asset was not deemed to be practical. Staff has determined that the lease meets fair market value based on other existing leases in this building. The Finance Committee adopted a resolution authorizing the President and/or acting treasurer to approve a lease with OE Land Inc. on the terms described previously, and the Finance Committee recommends that the Board approve the same action today. So the requested action is approval of the resolution authorizing the President and/or acting treasurer to approve a lease with OE Land Inc. on the terms that I described. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the resolution?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Great, thank you. That lease is approved. The second item from the Finance Committee is regard to our food service agreement. At this point, I would ask for a motion to consider an amendment to the food services agreement that we hold with Compass Group USA Inc., which is known as Chartwells. Is there a motion for consideration?
So moved.
Thank you, Joan. Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay. So for background purposes, Fuller Road Management Corporation and Chartwells entered into an agreement on May 1st, 2014, pursuant to which Chartwells has the exclusive right to provide food and catering services on the Albany Nanotech campus, with some limited exceptions, for a base period of 5 years, expiring on April 30th, 2019, with annual renewal options thereafter upon written agreement of the parties. In September 2018, the FRMC board approved an amendment to the agreement with modifications that included an extension of the contract through June 30th, 2019 to avoid any sudden corresponding interruption to the food services that are provided to the campus population here in Albany. FRMC issued an RFP for a food and catering services vendor in May and expects responses to the RFP by late June. To allow time for review of the responses and subsequent contract negotiation, FRMC and Chartwells have discussed extending Chartwells services for an additional 2 months beyond the current expiration, which would go through August 31st, 2019, with operations limited to one cafe, known as the Nano Cafe. This would ensure that tenants, employees, and visitors have access to food services during the summer months. Chartwells has expressed willingness to agree to such an extension, but requires that FRMC compensate it for its actual losses, if any, that Chartwell may incur as a result of operating during these months, which Chartwell estimates will be approximately $10,000 a month. Chartwell requires that this amount be paid to it in June with a reconciliation for any actual losses at the end of the 2-month extension term, which would expire at the end of August. The Finance Committee approved a resolution authorizing the President and/or acting treasurer to enter into a contract amendment with Chartwell's on
Brad
the terms.
Johnson.
Hi, Brad. Hi, Brad. Thank you. We're on the food service agreement amendment on the agenda. So the Finance Committee approved a resolution authorizing the President and/or acting treasurer to enter into a contract amendment with Chartwell's on the terms I previously described and to take any and all actions necessary and appropriate to effectuate those actions. And the Finance Committee recommends that the Board approve the same actions today. So to restate, our requested action is approval of a resolution authorizing the President and/or acting treasurer to enter into a contract with Chartwell's on the terms stated above and to take any and all necessary actions that are appropriate to effectuate such actions.
Kristen, I just have a question that's to make sure I'm absolutely clear because of the pros, but the 10,000 is their operating expense estimate, not their loss estimate, correct?
The 10,000 is
It's their loss estimate.
it's their
Okay,
loss
that's what it
estimate for
sounds
the
like
summer
written
months,
down.
correct?
Yeah.
Because the summer months are, as you might imagine, here at the campus, much quieter and compressed compared to the rest of the year. So that's their estimate, and obviously there's a provision in this amendment that will allow us to go back and do a reconciliation
Okay.
as soon as the extension period expires at the end of August.
But we decided prior when we dealt with this issue that it was essential to have this food service
Correct.
in
Yes.
place.
Exactly.
For this period, yeah.
And then once the academic year begins and things are more
RFP
busy
should
here, the
help
RFP
clarify
should,
some of that, too.
exactly,
Yeah,
should
so-
be resolved and we should have a brand new contract going forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none at this point, I would ask for a vote on the motion. All in favor of approving this amendment, signify by saying aye.
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 Any, any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. That amendment is approved. We'll move on to the Audit Committee report at this time. We have one item from the Audit Committee this meeting, and it deals with our approval of insurance renewals. So at this time, I would ask for a motion to open discussion.
So moved.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. So Fuller Road Management Corporation is seeking to renew its various lines of insurance for the period commencing July 1, 2019. FRMC's insurance broker, which is Amsure, conducted a competitive outreach process and prepared a proposed insurance and risk management program for FRMC. Amsure is an independent risk management and insurance advisory firm that represents over 20 different insurance carriers. A summary of the proposed program is in the materials that we provided to you. As noted in the summary, the aggregate costs for 2019 have decreased by $32,825 from last year. The President and Acting Treasurer recommend that the corporation secure the insurance renewals as described in this summary. The FRMC Audit Committee discussed and approved a resolution approving the insurance renewals as described in the summary and authorizing the President and/or Acting Treasurer to approve the insurance renewals and to take any and all actions necessary and appropriate to effectuate such actions. And the Audit Committee recommends that the Board approve the foregoing actions at our meeting today. So the requested action of the Board this morning is to approve a resolution for the insurance renewals as described in the summary, and to authorize the President and/or Acting Treasurer to approve the insurance renewals and to take any and all actions necessary and appropriate to effectuate such actions. Are there any questions or comments from the board members? This is pretty straightforward. This is our insurance renewal, and based on the conversation in the Audit Committee, I think that Amsure has done a very comprehensive job of putting our needs out there to various insurance carriers and coming up with an overall insurance program that will represent our interests well. So hearing no comments or questions, I would ask that all in favor of approving The insurance renewal signify by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Great, thank you. The insurance program is approved. At this point, we'll move on for new business. Is there any new business that any of our directors would like to raise? Hearing none, I would open the floor to public comment, if any, and ask that members of the public introduce themselves and limit their comments to 2 minutes. Is there any public comment? Hearing none. Our next date is to be determined, but it's likely to be within the first couple of weeks in August. So we will keep all of you posted on that.